This is Andi Purewal for ID Boxing. I'm joined by Mikaela Mayer here in London. Mikaela, always a pleasure. How are you? How is life?
I'm doing good, doing really good. Excited, motivated, feeling strong, ready just to show out and get back on top.
Mikaela, we've got a bone to pick. Yes. You weren't very impressed by the British cuisine the other day, and yet you said you were quite complimentary, rather, of aeroplane food instead.
I like airplane food. Okay, granted, I was in business class, so I did have probably extra nice food, but I'm a fan of airplane food. I wish I could have enjoyed it a little more. I had to kind of watch what I ate on there, but yeah, airplane food.
Doesn't come close to fish and chips, though.
I like fish and chips. Wait, what was your question? I can't.
It doesn't come close to fish and chips, though.
Oh, I don't know. That fillet was pretty good, but I'm a fan of fish and chips too, as long as it has some salt on it.
I think you're damaging your cred here with British fans, Mikaela. But let's obviously get on to Saturday night. Christina Linardatou, the woman in the opposite corner to you. Quite a height difference from the face-off. I know you're wearing heels, which people want to point out. But yeah, what did you make of the difference there?
I've always been taller than my opponents. It's no surprise. But it did look extra. The height difference was very extreme on stage just now. I am in a little bit of heels, but I'm just skinny. Even though I've gone up in a weight class, a lot of the girls are still shorter than me because I'm just so tall and skinny. I don't have huge legs. I don't have a huge upper body. My weight is just very evenly dispersed upward.
Has it made a difference during camp having the extra £5 to play with?
So much easier. Before, when I was making 130, it really wasn't like fight week where was the hard part. Once I got to fight week, the hard work was already done, and then I already got the weight down to where I could cut the water and be fine. But the whole camp of having to do an entire camp and all that hard training on a calorie deficit and just not really being able to refuel my body as much as I should, that's the hard part. Having to go spar 10 rounds, knowing that I ran out of calories probably in round 4. So it's a lot of work there. So the camp, I didn't suffer as much in camp. Camp was like enjoyable, fun, and I feel like I was able to hold on to a lot of my muscle. After a hard workout, I go home and I could eat. I could fuel those muscles and kind of fill out a little bit. So I feel good. Definitely a little past overdue. I should have probably moved up to 35 a while ago, but I was trying to finish out the goal I had set for myself. So now we'll see.
Now we'll see. How much of a difference do you think that will show on Saturday night?
I'm curious to see, because I know that I've always had power. I ask Coach Al in the gym, like they see the power, but I really haven't taken it into the handful of my last few fights. So we'll see if it's been the weight. I feel strong, and I really want to take that power into the ring at 135 this Saturday.
Obviously, Christina Linardatou has competed at the highest level within female boxing. Mikaela, what challenges does she pose to you, and what do you feel you have to overcome?
Linardatou is aggressive and strong. She's going to come forward. She's going to try and whip that big overhand right, the big left hook, and she throws everything she can into that. And I'm the taller and longer boxer, so I need to box smart, keep her on the outside, make sure I keep my hands high, but also gain a little bit of her respect in the meantime and sit on my shots.
Obviously, last time you boxed over here, your last fight, you didn't get the result rather that you wanted. Is that kind of in the back of your mind? You want to right that wrong of sorts, get a win on British soil? Because we've done a Zoom interview previously where you said you can see yourself boxing here, moving forwards on numerous occasions.
That fight's not really in my mind. No, it's not. I'm in a good place mentally. I feel like I have. What was really hard about coming out of that loss is because it's like, okay, well, what's next? How do I get back on top? How long is it going to take? Am I going to get the opportunities that I want? But they're putting the WBC interim belt on the line for this fight, and so I know that getting through Linardatou, a strong, dominant performance against her, will put me back in position for a world title. Will get me where I want to be. So I have that in the back of my mind. So that's what I'm thinking of.
Mikaela, it's no secret, obviously Katie Taylor's the woman you want to face. If you can secure that fight, this puts you in a great position to do so. She's moving up to 140 to challenge Chantel Cameron for her belts. Before we link yourself into Katie, what do you make of that fight?
I love that fight. I like a fight where you don't necessarily know off the bat who's going to win and who's going to dominate. They're both really skilled, both very experienced, both, still, I think Katie Taylor's still boxing great. She doesn't have any plans of retiring soon, despite what everyone's saying about her. Chantel's probably in her prime right now. And so I think it's a really good fight. Katie has all the experience. She can adjust really well, but Chantel is strong and relentless and comes forward. And so I'm excited to see who kind of just shows up that night, whoever leaves it all in the ring.
I mean, there could be a lot of different outcomes and circumstances around that fight. Say if Chantel wins, I imagine Katie will want to pursue a rematch with her. Amanda Serrano is obviously another fight that she wants. She comes back down, she still holds the undisputed championship at 135, so it kind of puts you in a bit of a sticky position to regain a world title. Have you thought about that, how long you might be sitting at 135 without world honours on the line in a fight for yourself?
I'm not thinking about that because the way women's boxing is going, anything can happen. Things are just, we're putting on the fights that everyone wants to see. We're all taking those risks. And so anything can happen. You just don't know. I'm going to let it play out. I'm going to go do what I got to do Saturday night. I'm going to let Chantel and Katie get in the ring with each other and duke it out. And we'll go from there. But I'm just excited about getting back in position one way or the other. Things will all work out. I just want to stay busy and keep fighting top fights.
Mikaela, I'm sure you're fed up of speaking about a certain Alycia Baumgardner at this point. But it seemed to be up until maybe a couple of days ago, there weren't as many exchanges, there weren't as many mentions between the pair of you, whether it be in interviews or over social media. Has that rivalry not necessarily died a death, but certainly quietened down now, in your opinion?
I mean, we can't. We each have our own lives going on too. We're both on different paths now, and so. But obviously, there's unfinished business, and that's being proven with the fact that all these interviews are going on, and everyone wants to know about the rematch. Everyone wants to know about our rivalry. So it's still very much alive, whether she wants to believe it or not, whether she wants the rematch or not. But what am I going to do? I got to continue on my path, continue taking on big fights and doing what I got to do for my career. And if she wakes up one day and wants that fight, then we can get it on. But she doesn't seem to want that right now. So, you got to take two to tango.
I know you had that desire. We said that if there was only one fight you could drop back down to 134, it would be that one. Because you've now had a full camp at 135, do you think that's out of the window, dropping back to 130, or could you think you could still make it if that fight presented itself?
I think I'd be doing myself a disservice going back to 130. If that was the only fight for me, then I would suck it up and do it. But it's not the only fight for me. I have tons of big fights available to me, tons of awesome top boxers to go up against and challenge myself against, because I'm lucky that I'm in that division where between 130 and 140, that's just stacked. There's a ton of talent. So she's not the only fight for me. So if she wants to dismiss a rematch, then she may never get it. I don't know. But I don't see myself going back down to 130. I'm on a new path now and new goals.
Just a final one before I let you go, Mikaela. The main event on Saturday night, Joyce-Zhang. I know you've seen Joe in the gym, had a training session together out in Vegas, but what do you expect to go down between those two heavyweights?
God, I don't know. I really don't know. They're both big as hell. So one punch can definitely change the fight. I really don't know who's going to win that fight. But again, that's the kind of fights I love, right? Joyce is also putting his ass on the line. He's fighting, making big fights back to back. And so I respect that, because that's what I'm about too, making big fights for the fans. So as long as they're entertained, we're all good.
Mikaela, it's always a pleasure. Obviously, good luck on Saturday night, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you, and enjoy your fish and chips after the fight.
Yes.